Today, we're getting under the hood of women's health with Annalise, a 14-year-old who is the oldest of 5 children. Annalise has a deep love for all animals and dreams of becoming a veterinarian one day. Having just completed 8th grade, she's eagerly anticipating the start of high school this fall. Annalise will get under the hood of mental health and wellness.
I think I was around 9 years old. COVID-19 had just hit. My parents had just gotten a divorce, and I was having friendship issues. And that really affected my mental health in a negative way. For my diagnosis, I currently had some issues with a friend, and things were just not going well. And I was feeling really bad to the point where it got so severe that would cause me to get nauseous as my anxiety comes in the form of nausea and stomach aches. And so during that time, with both this friendship and my parents' divorce, when I was away from my parents for too long, I would get nauseous and I would feel sick, even on like vacations and stuff. And with my friendship, I would start like I would be in the car about to go to school and I would start dry heaving, or I would just refuse to eat because I would feel so nauseous because I would just get so scared of being there. And so as this got worse and worse, my mom decided to take me to a therapist, and they figure out that I have both ADHD and anxiety, which explains why I can hyper focus on something and then not focus at all on another thing. Um, and be super stressed out, which working together that caused like my panic attacks to be so severe. Um, And so they got me on meds, and that's kind of where I'm at now with changing meds, changing stuff. And that's kind of how we've ended up here. Like when I first got diagnosed, I was like, oh, this kind of makes sense, but this is confusing. Um, it was like, oh, that kind of explains it. And that honestly, just having an explanation, like having a logical reasoning, like that was really comforting to me. It's not comforting for everybody, but for me, it was just something I was like, oh, this all makes sense. It's all lining up. And that helped me a lot. And then started medication. And at first, I was like, oh, yeah, this is making me feel so much better, loving this. But as things change to help me more, things can also go bad. And it made me feel like awful. Like it made me feel like I couldn't feel stuff and that I was doing something wrong because of the imbalance in my meds causing different emotional outbursts and different reactions from getting mad at my friends, my siblings, my parents to not doing anything at all, which made me just feel awful because I was like, what's wrong with me? Why aren't I feeling these things? Do like do I not care? And that was really difficult to go through. It's hard to explain because when you think about not feeling, it's really hard to imagine that because everything we do, like me just talking right now, there's feeling. There's feeling in every single thing we do, whether we want to have it or not, right? But feeling, like there's no feeling, like you feel it, but you don't feel it. So I'm gonna go and let's talk about so I had 3 pet rats. Not everybody's cup of tea, but they were like little puppy dogs. They're really sweet, right? I really enjoyed spending time with them. And so one I had really bonded with, and when she died, I just like sat down because I couldn't do anything. I felt devastated. I was like, oh my God, but I couldn't explain that to anybody. I just kind of sat there because what it feels like is really just nothing. Because it gets really awkward, honestly. Uh, it it's so like it's such a surreal experience and not in a good way. Like it was really something different. It's something I can't really put into words. But I do know that when I first got diagnosed, my mom and I would like sit on the bed with a piece of paper, like a notepad or something, and just take a pencil and write down stuff that makes me feel happy. Um, Long showers, sketching, listening to music, playing with my dog, right? Something that's like comforting to me. So that way, if I'm freaking out, I have something to look to. I like a list, a visual representation because I have trouble at like um or I don't know how to explain that better, but just having something I can look at and be like, shoot, I'm freaking out, like give myself something to do. My emotions, my panic attacks, I don't feel emotions as severely. Um, and so that's kind of hard to talk about like how I cope because I don't really have a way, but sometimes I will freak out. And something I do when I freak out is star breathing. Um, and I kind of mix it with something my mom and my Mimi would tell me. Uh, and so one time I freaked out so much that I like froze up completely and I had to like ask my sister to move my fingers because I was just so freaked out. And so they like sat next to me and they were like, it was just like something like a system, a pattern, like something repetitive. And so it's just breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold it, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, having that kind of like rhythm and something I could depend on. That's like that really calms you down and just like focusing on your breaths. Like that takes a lot of like energy because like if I'm focusing on my breathing, I'm less focused on this. And so focusing on your breathing can really help take away from that like negative feeling, just like as a comforting thing. So having something to kind of ground me from freaking out, I found that's really helpful. So like I have these little pom poms on my dress. Those are really nice to hold on to. Usually I hold my sketchbook and just having something to kind of ground you and support you. And just knowing something's there, like in a new place, I'll have something with me, like a stuffed animal, and just having something that I can hold on to and like physically, this is here. That I've found is the most comforting for me because I just having that support is something that I really hold close. First, I spoke to a therapist. I spoke to multiple different people, but this is what I remember most. Like there was two main people I spoke to. Well, technically three. My therapist, my psychiatrist, and a pediatrician. So they were really people I could like talk to. But I remember at the beginning, I hated it. Like I personally would not want to do therapy again because I just don't like the unfamiliar. And I found that really hard to like get used to, right? And like having to open up, I found that really difficult. And then psychiatrist, it was mostly talking about stuff we'd already discussed. So after like kind of talking, my pediatrician is just like, since my parents are doctors, seeing like a doctor who works with other kids, who talk to my siblings, who talk to my parents, that I just kind of like, oh, I know them because I know my parents are doctors. I know other doctors, like my stepmom is a doctor. My mom's doctor. Dad's a doctor. They're all doctors, and so somebody else who's a doctor, I can just be like, oh, I recognize this. This is familiar. I can just click. I didn't like it. I don't do therapy anymore. It just stresses me out. It makes me personally feel worse because I don't like this personal thing, like them just looking at and trying to get to me and I'm like, I don't know you. That just stresses me out. My psychiatrist, he like gave a game and like was kind of like, do you know what ADHD is? I thought almost like the comforting of like a parental figure, like somebody like playing a game with them, I think was really helpful. And I was just like, oh, okay. Like, understand you gotta get along, you know? Um, and then with my pediatrician, I was like, I already know doctors. A lot of people I'm close to are doctors. I could just kind of relate, you know? Um, that's kind of exactly how it happened. My relationships with meds changed. So at the beginning, like I said, didn't really care for it. Sometimes when there was issues with meds, like an imbalance, hated it. Made me feel awful. Didn't want to take them at all. Didn't care about the stomach aches. I was like, I don't care. I just don't want to do this. Right. And then as I was like, like as meds have gotten more like continuous, like, okay, this is what I'm taking. We're not changing anything. It's kind of been like easier. It's been like, okay, just some mood adjusters. Like, while I dislike some aspects of it, like it kind of changing like how severely I act towards different things and how I feel, it's mostly helped. Honestly. Like the whole going through it was stressful, but like once you find a safe place, honestly, like I'm kind of fine with it. It's just kind of something in my life now. Like every morning, Anna, go take your meds. Fine. Because I don't want to get up, but it's not because I don't like them. It's just kind of just part of my daily routine now. It's kind of can't like all of a sudden hate something or all of a sudden like something. So it's just I'm kind of back to indifferent. I think I've found my people. I mean, I've gone through a whole lot of different friend groups. Um, but I think I'm really happy with the one I'm in right now. Like I care about them a whole lot. Um, they are amazing and we all have our differences, but we just kind of click and we kind of get each other. And it's so nice to find people that you can understand and that understand you. Like I going through a lot of different friendships, it was really difficult, but like now that I've found my group, but it isn't like a huge group, it isn't a super small group, like it makes life so much better because there's so much I want to say, but really just support other people because I understand like lashing out when people are trying to make others feel bad so you feel better, but like you have to realize everybody has their own struggles despite if yours is worse or theirs is worse, everybody's still struggling. The best thing you can do is just find your people and care about them because that's something so powerful